The age of self-improvement is over. We are evolving beyond that. There is an inner technology that is waking up inside of all of us, and we're more remembering than learning. Okay, so I'm here to help activate that within you. Why? Because again, I'm you and you're me. And any human who's watching this has been led here because you have something within you. You have a medicine, you have a frequency that is meant to be shared, that is helping humanity to go through the process that we're going through, right? It's a very exciting time, but it also is a time of a lot of turbulence, right? Our nervous systems are moving through a lot of stuff, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of doubt, right? All the small aspects of who we are coming up to be reknown through the eyes of love, right? No longer is making choices from fear going to get us anywhere. And you know this, okay? I have such a deep understanding of the suffering, of the fear programming, the limitation that we've been trapped in. I'll tell you a quick story on this just to give you some context. When I really started to awaken, I got to a point, of course, like many of us have, where you're looking at your life and you're like, whose life is this? Is this me? Is this why I'm here? What's going on? And that happened for me, and I was about in my later 20s, and I was working a corporate sales job in the entertainment and broadcast industry. And I looked around and I said, none of this has anything to do with why I'm here and the life that I want to be living. If I was choosing my own life, this would not be it. But then I didn't know what was there on the other side of that. That wasn't fully clear to me, right? So you begin the journey. I sold all of my stuff. I moved across the country. I had zero plan. I just had trust in God. I had a trust in whatever is meant for me is going to come through this process. Now, when that happened, this is very important. So I invite in all of your presence here. I then had a level of freedom that I had never had before. I didn't realize that I was existing within a paradigm that was very deeply unconscious, that had been shaping everything for me. A structure that I was always kind of told what to do. All right, here's the expectations. Here's what life should look like. You go to a job, you report to them. They tell you what to do. You make your steady paycheck. Weekends, you have some fun. All right, yeah, get a house at some point, start a family, blah, blah, blah. We all know this narrative. But if you throw all of that away, you have this nakedness. You have this blank slate, this level of freedom that is overwhelming. It's like, holy shit, what do I do with that? And it was the responsibility of that was so overwhelming to me that I had a really hard time making any choice. And also because of that space that I had created, now there was room for all of the emotional suppression, all of the things that I had run away from unconsciously to now come up and be seen by me, right? So all the fears, all the doubts, all of the imposter syndrome stuff, all of the things that I would need to live a life of my choosing, a life of freedom, are now in front of me saying, hey, here's what's in the way. You got to deal with them. You got to realize what's going on here. And instead of doing that, I ran. I partied, I smoked weed every day. I remember just floating in the ocean in this sense of freedom of like, And now here's the thing, there is a cleansing period, right? There's kind of that in-between like recalibration phase that you go through when you're leaving one aspect of life into the next. It's a death and it's a rebirth. But for me, I avoided things so much that I literally got to a place where I got evicted from my apartment. Now, that collapsed very quickly. I had like a week's notice and I didn't have anywhere to go. So my thinking at the time was, all right, I did this to myself. I'm not going to put this burden on anyone else. I'm not going to ask for help because there's a lot of shame there. Like, I want to be able to make this work. So I started living out of my car, not by choice. I was living in a Mazda CX-5 in a scenario where I would just park in random neighborhoods in Southern California at nighttime that had, the least amount of lighting. And I would recline my seat back. And that's the journey that I started on. Now, a lot of people, their deepest fear is I'm going to be homeless if I let go of everything, if I quit my job, if I go pursue my thing. So now here I am in this, probably at an unconscious level, because that fear in itself never really like grabbed me too much until I was in it. And then I was like, holy shit, I'm living out of my car. I have no money. What am I going to do? And that's where everything started to crack open. That's when my process really began, because there was nowhere to run. And I can tell you, and this comes back to why I'm making this course, I know at the very deepest level what it's like to be caught in survival. I was in my car every day with the most intense feelings of survivalism in my veins, in my nervous system. I'm gonna die. How am I gonna fix this? How do I get out of this? These were the thoughts that I started my day with for years, right? And then I would make choices from that fear and from that place of, I gotta fix this. And that traumatized me a little bit. That put me in this place of, I don't feel safe at all. What I didn't realize at the time was that was the process that I needed to go through to then get to the place of full trust, surrender, and allowance, to open myself up to receive from life, because this is all God. This is all source, right? And if we're in this little box, this little paradigm of, oh, I have to fix this. This is my problem that I have to take responsibility for. Now there is a responsibility aspect to this. Do not get me wrong. You have to fully claim yourself beyond victimization, which is why you're here watching this. We are in this process of clearing out any area where we are a victim to life, where we are separated from life, where our circumstances are dictating our truth. Because at some point I had to take a breath and I had to look at what had been created all around me. And I had to say, this is not it. This is not my creation. I'm looking at what fear has created, what survivalism has created, right? So sometimes we need to go through the intensity of the depths of the fear and that survival root chakra place of, I'm going to die. I need to just find a way to live and survive. Right? And here I am, I'm in my car, there's no one trying to kill me, but yet I think I'm gonna die every second. And a lot of us are experiencing this right now. And I want you to know it's because it needs to be purged, it needs to be released, it needs to be loved, right? Imagine your 6-year-old self running up to you as an adult and saying, I'm so scared, I'm gonna die. The same way that we might have done as kids when we had intense nightmares and we ran to our parents' room. That part of us is coming into our now space and it's saying, hey, I need you to see me. Please, I'm scared, we're gonna die, right? That voice, that narration, we thought that was us this whole time. But now as the soul, the light is coming in, we get to witness that part of us that's holding that fear, and we love it in the same way that our parents did when we had the nightmare. That reassurance, hey, everything's gonna be okay. And that is the light of God. That is the light of source within you that you are now starting to embody. And you're starting to be able to differentiate yourself from that narration of fear with your divine self. This is the process that we're going through right now. This is why you're listening to this, okay? Now, on the other side of that, all of your deepest desires, fulfillment, freedom, everything you've ever desired in your heart wants to come to you. Spirit wants to deliver that to you. But at first, we have to clear out everything that's in the way, right? So this video, this course, is for the beautiful souls who know that next level is right there, who know that there is so much inside to share, to contribute to the world, and they're afraid. They're caught in a loop of limitation, doubt, imposter syndrome. They tell themselves they're going to do something about it, and then things stay the same. They look at their circumstances and they say, oh, well, I have to deal with these things first. before I can follow my heart, right? That was the trap that I was in for many years and spun my tires, which is why I'm making this. Because the technology that's coming alive inside of us, that higher level, that higher room of consciousness that's inviting us up out of the basement to see things as they truly are, knows that all of the limitation programs and the fears have to be reknown and reseen through the eyes of love, because that's what brings everything into wholeness, right? So imagine the way that we've been unconsciously dealing with this stuff, like I did when I was in California and I was avoiding everything. It's like that 6-year-old coming to you and you being like, get away from me. I don't need that right now. Like, sorry, right? Abandoning that part of ourselves, because it is very intricately a part of who we are. It's our inner child. And if that child does not feel safe, there's no place to create. There's no place to imagine. There's no place to have fun and enjoy yourself. And if you're not doing those things, you are very out of alignment with yourself. And nothing's going to come from that. Okay? So there's so much that I want to share around this, and I will in this course. But I want to say, if you're here and those fears are going on, and those blocks to your expression and your freedom and your truth are going on, and you feel like you're trapped and you're stuck and you can't get out of it, and it's incredibly frustrating, and you're not having fun, you're not enjoying yourself, you're doing just enough to get by, but yet you know there's a beautiful life unlived inside of you that is just so seeking expression, and that this goes by way too fast to not go all in and say yes to that now, then this is the place for you. I'm making this for you, again, because you're me also. And your healing is my healing, it's all of our healing. You saying yes to this and being here is the biggest contribution that you can make to the planet, to humanity. You are a part of this evolutionary process of the Aquarian age coming online, right? In a world of distraction, in a design to try to keep the ego small self frame in place, right? Everything in our culture is geared towards that, to help you go back to sleep. The comfort, the convenience, right? That creation of culture wants you to stay in the root chakra of survivalism, so that you're consuming like a little caterpillar, right? You're not creating, you're just consuming. And even on the seemingly good side of that, by the way, we're transcending duality, like getting out of the good and bad judgments. But I'll say that for another point in the course. That part of you is dying. The caterpillar is what's dying and going into the chrysalis. And what I was going to say is the good side, the light side of that at one point was, for me, I'm just taking in all the information. I'm reading as many books as I can find. I'm listening to podcasts basically 24/7. Audiobooks, lectures of my favorite teachers in the spiritual space, in psychology, in everything that is about our growth, right? Just stockpiling that information, never really applying it, never creating something with it in my own cool way, never expressing it, just building it up. And then that in itself becoming an addiction. Anytime that I felt bad, anytime I felt less than, or the fear was going on, I would tune into that information, get a little dopamine spike from it, and that was my way of soothing myself. And I didn't even realize the level that was going on. So if you're doing that, that's okay. And I realize that this is also content that you're taking in. But again, this is an activation. And I'm here to speak to who you really are. I have compassion for that small self, that egoic persona, and so much compassion and love for that inner child that's probably, if you're watching this, been in a cage for a long time. It's time to let that inner child out, to breathe, to have fun, to enjoy yourself, right? Survivalism is this shadow of seriousness that disconnects you from the joy of this experience, which is why we're here, right? Now, I'm very grateful to be alive during this time where our ancestors had to go through a lot of shit. There's a lot of trauma encoded into our DNA that it is our task in this generation to alchemize And you do that through loving awareness, loving everything that comes up. And there's a lot of tools we're going to get into in this course that I'm going to help you with to anchor this. But there is a light that is sweeping over this planet, and it's clearing out all of those ego constructs, which were a house of cards, all of the illusions that were outside of who you really are. They have to be swept away, and we have to be in a practice of allowing that to happen so that we can receive everything that is for us. Because, my beautiful friends, souls, inside of you is the seat of your desires, which are the epitome of your fulfillment and your contribution that you specifically were chosen to be here to make, to give to the whole. You have that in you right now, and it's just dying to be expressed, to come out of its dormant state, to live through you in the moment, where your creative energy is flowing. You are in alignment with life. You're finding your joy again. You're smiling. Life is no longer this black and white, dull, uninspired place where you're just avoiding things and you're running away from yourself, right? Let's take a breath. Yeah. It's time to let that go. All right? And this is why I made this, because I know it's difficult. I know it's so hard to let go sometimes. I know it feels like we're going to die, we're going to run out of money, we're going to lose everything. I had to lose it all for me to get to this place of true surrender where I said, okay, spirit, source, God, universe that created me and all of this, I recognize that you are love. And all of the distortions, because there's free choice on this planet, are why I can see violence and oppression and all the things that we don't like. Those are all creations from fear. So it is the time not to protest and get your picket sign and go out in the street. That's an old linear way of thinking. You turning your light on and becoming all that you're meant to be is the greatest protest of all, and the greatest contribution to actually creating change, because this is your universe, right? This is you are an expression of all that is, right? We're shedding all the layers, all the labels, all the judgments, and we're coming into that place of I am the creator. All right, I'm not Sean any longer. Sean's this beautiful human costume that I'm wearing, and there's so much fun stuff. Like the ego is part of the experience. We're not killing it, we're integrating it. So it doesn't feel like it needs to control things anymore and play out these traumas to keep us from feeling the thing that we were terrified of feeling as children. That we made agreements, very strong, emotionally imprinted agreements of, I'm never gonna feel that again. Whatever that was, rejection, abandonment, betrayal, resentment, whatever it was, okay? That part of you, it's going to come up in your nervous system. Can you give it space, allow it to be there, hold that 6-year-old part of you with loving awareness and say, I am here, and you never have to be alone again and stuck in that errored distortion of thought. That's all that it is. It's an errored distortion of thought, which became a belief, which then got imprinted into your subconscious and has been running the show the whole time. We're coming into I am the creator who is beyond all of those stories and limitations. And I am now choosing what I imprint my subconscious mind with. I trust with everything that I am of what life has for me. Thy will be done, and I let go, and I embrace the unknown so that I can receive. Every day it's now, I receive the blessings that life has for me. I now receive the intuitive wisdom waking up inside of me instead of that fear and root chakra programming expressing emotionally, then making my decisions for me. No. I'm here to love, baby. We're here to love. This course is going to be equal parts. It's going to light your ass on fire. You're going to hear things you've never heard before because I'm a gatherer of information from different places, plus my own intuitive channel bringing things through. I'm here to connect things, the dots, in a way that maybe you've never seen before. But remember, You know this. You're remembering this. This is already you. And we're just clearing out the things that don't need to be there anymore. This is a game of subtraction. We've heard the analogy, right? It's the Michelangelo sculpture. Michelangelo sees the big hunk of marble, and he's not seeing that. He's seeing what's underneath it, the perfection that was always there. And he's just chiseling away everything that's not that. All right? So this is going to be very powerful. All right? I'm going to speak directly to your heart and soul. I'm not here to appeal to that small self persona. You are not a student. I am not a teacher in this way. I'm just somebody who's coming forth and saying yes to what my heart has guided me to. And it's from a place of compassion because, again, I know I can remember still right now in this moment how it felt for me when I was living out of my car and I would wake up and my nervous system is fried and I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. And I repeated that process day after day to get to that place of remembering, oh yeah, this is not it. I now turn to God. I'm going to stop trying to do things on my own, and I'm going to allow Source to give me what I need. And when I did that, very quickly the miracles happened. I had a place on the beach, a 3-story, beautiful apartment while my friends were in Peru that I was able to stay at while they were gone for free. All of these synchronicities started happening. I started driving for Uber, and that's where I got my first clients that I started working with as a life coach. I couldn't see it at the time, but everything was shaping what I was here to do. And the second I opened up and stopped my fear voice, and I was like, all right, Spirit, give me what I need. From a place of conviction and command and knowing, I am a child of the universe, and I now open myself up to receive all of the blessings that God has always wanted to bestow upon me. It's more unbelievable and more magical and more powerful than you could ever fathom in your linear left brain, which we're coming out of and seating ourselves at the right hand of the Father, which is the imagination, which is the seed of the inner child, to dream and to imagine beauty on this earth. We are anchoring heaven on earth during this time, and you play an intricate role in that. And I have so much love for you. I'm so honored to be able to do this with you. Oh, it is the honor of my lifetime. This is one of the most exciting periods that we've ever had in any incarnation. That's my belief. The Aquarian age, the golden age that is unfolding out of the Kali Yuga cycle, as the Hindus call it, which is the age of forgetting, right? You're caught in that survivalism. It's a primitive state, right? Where you see yourself as just a tiny little box of the ego persona. Now we're breaking out of that, and the Aquarian age is all about truth. It's unification. It's seating yourself at the table with all the parts of you that ever got fractured and loving them and saying, hey, we're going in a new direction. You don't have to drive the boat or the car anymore. The soul is going to drive it. The heart and the mind are going to unite in a beautiful intuitive dance. And you're going to be guided by feeling instead of trying to make sense of it all and trying to, in a linear way, process all this stuff, because you can't do it. The brain's not designed for that. There's more information coming now in one day than there was in an entire lifetime for people for most of human history. Okay? At least the history that we know, because there is a history that goes far beyond that. But a cataclysm wiped it out. We'll touch on that more as we go, if it's relevant. But I want you to know, if you're in that place of scarcity and fear, and the doubt is just circulating, and you're looking at your bank account, and you're looking at your circumstances, and you've been giving them your life force, you've been giving them your attention, that's the only reason that they're still there, because it's holding them in place, because it's your creation. Anything you give your life force to is what's going to grow. What you put your attention and intention on is what's going to be there. We are withdrawing our life force from the unconscious realms of those fearful places, and we are taking full responsibility and full empowerment of our experience as the I am creator, baby. God, it's way more fun in that place. Oh my goodness, I can't even tell you. And we're collapsing time, all right? This whole idea of like, it's going to take me so far and it's so long and I've been in this for 10 years and nothing's worked and what am I going to do? My Kermit voice is the ego voice, just so you guys know. You'll hear it come out again in this course. What am I going to do? Like, take a breath. You're going to start to remember who you are. And life is going to mirror that back to you as these fears get processed, as these doubts are seen for what they are, the illusions. We're going to rise our consciousness out of the basement to that higher floor, that penthouse suite that has the view, that's not caught down in the smog and all the hustle and bustle and distractions and right? Because you get trapped. It's easy to get trapped down there in this culture, right? But when you can take a breath and rise up out of it and look down and see it as it is, there's peace, there's joy, there's love, there's truth, there's wisdom, there's patience, there's kindness, there's everything that we've been looking for. It's right there. And it's just taking the elevator up the floors to get to that place of remembering who you are. And becoming a lot more aware that when you drop down into your basement, into your root chakra, into your survival primitive thinking. Okay? I love you guys very deeply. I love humanity. I love this earth. I'm excited about this time that we're in, which is why I made this. And I hope from the deepest level of my heart, my highest intention is that this at the very least plants a seed in you that will sprout the most gorgeous fruits and flowers that will then get to be experienced by all the people in your life, your community, all the people you interact with. Because the song that you have inside of you, oh boy, is it ready to be sung and heard and seen. Yeah, it's time.